The Echoes of Wisdom is supposed to be the game that puts Zelda in the spotlight, like the hero has throughout the entire series. But instead, the game makes her unimportant and sets her aside. You see, the whole time playing this game, I knew something was off. There was an underlying issue that goes unnoticed. This game, with its story and combat, completely go against the Legend of Zelda's core values as a franchise. The majority of the game is built on a combat system that cannot generate tension, and the story negatively amplifies this feeling by lacking a sense of importance in Zelda's character. The story uses a unique antagonist and a crazy world takeover, but in every location the same dialogue and plot are reused over and over. You'd get to a location covered in rifts, and the people would say, "Oh no, where's my grandma, uncle, elder, king, queen," whoever they're related to, and then you'd go around fixing tiny rifts, gaining their trust, then finally reach a dungeon inside the big rift. This happens 6 times. It gets to the point where in Elden, you can skip over most of the dialogue, quickly find the missing people, and get to the temple in just 20 minutes. Another giant factor ruining a massive part of the story has to be the lack of significance for the main character. Zelda is a princess, and to hide from Hylians after Hyrule is taken over by Rift clones, she covers herself up and goes on her journey. What's wrong is that people oddly ignore her as if she isn't there at all, to a point where it affects the realism. It's completely improbable that someone can stumble onto a king's throne room and be completely ignored twice. It's also unlikely that people wouldn't notice her based off of rumors of someone eliminating rifts. It's odd. It's as if the hero isn't viewed as important and that just the rift idea is the main focus in the story. For a better understanding of what I'm getting at, we can easily compare this to another game with good story. In The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, there was always a real purpose and real people behind every dungeon and location. Inside the Great Deku Tree, we have the Great Deku Tree, protector of all the Kokiri, put under a curse. And only you, the one Hylian in Kokiri Forest, can venture inside and destroy the cause. In Dodongo's Cavern, Link not only needs the gemstone to acquire the Master Sword, but the Gorons need him to fight Volvagia so that they can safely mine nutritious rocks in the cavern to survive in the long term. In the Echoes of Wisdom, every dungeon has the same need, getting rid of rifts, and you're treated as a stranger who doesn't deserve attention. For the Gerudo Temple, the Gerudo people make you prove yourself a lot, not listening to you at all and just going with what they think will help, and then once they fail, they finally let you get to the dungeon to destroy the rift. For the Zora Temple, the people aren't so happy together or whatever, and they really want their giant fish back, and after listening to them speak as a complete bystander for 20 minutes, you save a dude in a cave, and then they let you go into the dungeon. Clearly this was a story made to drag out the time you spend somewhere, but it diminishes the actual need to be there. In almost every conflict in the Echoes of Wisdom, Zelda is treated as someone who's in the way. Literally people go, "Who are you? I'm busy, I can't help you right now." But in the Ocarina of Time, Link is constantly told, "We need you. You are vital to our life. The world is at stake. The Gorons can't eat. My daughter's life is in your hands." And in the Echoes of Wisdom, the world is at stake, but we don't care. We're either stupid or we don't trust you, and my people are missing. Another issue that voids the game of depth and ultimately hurts Zelda's character here has to be the combat system. Use of the Echo ability is the only contributing factor for how enemy encounters play out. You approach an enemy, scroll through a list of what characters you have, spawn one within your spawn limit of 3 to 5 triangles, and watch as it slowly beats up your enemy. If an enemy is stronger than yours, your copy will probably die fighting, but it doesn't matter, as you can instantly respawn and have it fight again. This will usually defeat the opponent and allows you to then copy the new bigger opponent. That's combat in a nutshell. Whether you're fighting level 1 crooks or level 100 mafia bosses, combat is simply spawning a monster stronger than your opponent and demolishing it, or repeatedly spawning smaller monsters until your opponent is defeated. There are multiple things lackluster about this that ruin the game. You know, the one that's supposed to show Zelda in a different light. The reason combat feels good in games is because you're the one in control. Every attack, every successful dodge, and every choice leads to the fight going in your favor or you losing. It goes to show how you grow as a fighter the easier combat gets from the start of the game to the end. In the Echoes of Wisdom, that doesn't exist. From the very start, you are taught the system of spawning copies and having them do the work for you while you sit back and do nothing. You wait there watching as an AI copy takes its sweet time being stupid and missing attacks. Sometimes it fails to properly detect the enemy until it's too late and dies, and that causes you to just spawn a different enemy that either attacks immediately on spawn or just attacks faster, leading you to just spam certain echoes because it would be a quicker kill, which is not the way we're supposed to be looking at combat. In a game like The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, you're taught 7 different skills allowing you to style on your opponent, increasing the dopamine you feel when you fight an enemy exactly how you plan to and execute it properly. That doesn't exist here in the Echoes of Wisdom, and that's a problem. You can't control how combat plays out. You can only suggest it by spawning a certain echo, and it's not rewarding. You don't get better at fighting, you just get echoes that do the job faster. And to make it worse, the emptiness in not being able to choose how you fight is amplified in the fact that it doesn't matter how the fight plays out because there's nothing at stake. You sit and watch as your copy defeats an enemy, and if they die, you don't see a game over screen, you don't have to go through any hoops or challenges, you simply respawn copies until your opponent dies, making enemies not a scary new experience to overcome and learn from, but rather just another enemy slowing you down. Because there is nothing at stake, because there is no challenge to grow from, there's no depth to combat. You sit and watch while an AI fights for you. That's not engaging, that's a game of waiting, and it's ridiculous. It is even more aggravating when you see combat as something time-consuming, especially when fighting someone weak, because every encounter means you have to search through UI to find the echo best for the job, wait for it to attack, and then go back to whatever it was you were doing without learning anything or feeling accomplished from battle. On average, an enemy encounter lasts 19 seconds. Think about how many enemies you encounter in the game, and multiply that by the amount of time spent waiting. Considering there are a total of 8 dungeons, 10 to 15 rooms each, and on average 2 enemies in each room, that is 200 enemies, meaning 3,800 seconds, an entire hour spent waiting on AI. It's even more time when you have to deal with dumb stuff like this. Because the story has people neglecting Zelda as a proper guest in person, and because the combat puts Zelda in the back seat while AI fights for her, this game clearly doesn't let her shine the way she should. Zelda, over the past 20 Zelda games, has always been Hyrule's princess, an aid to defeating Ganon and restoring peace. Not a background character, not someone who can't fight on her own, but someone who is meaningful, powerful, strong, and well respected. Throughout the series, we've seen Zelda go through trials of finding herself, fighting and battling alongside Link, and having the ancient power to destroy or seal away evil. In both Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, she aids us in battle with the light arrows. In the Ocarina of Time, it's her power that stuns Ganon for the final blow. And in the most recent Zelda game, she goes through an entire ancient war for us to defeat Ganondorf. This is not the Zelda we know. This is a game that throws away everything that Zelda had worked for. Recognition, strength, skill, all of it is missing for some echo ability gimmick, and it's disrespectful to the Zelda name.